Hey Hawks, this is Father Kevin Gillespie, and you're listening to Sports and Rants with Brett and Pants. The Hawk will never die.
And we are back. This is Sports and Rants with Brett and Pants, and we are on live with former Tampa Bay Devil Rays pitcher and the man that the movie The Rookie is based off of, Jim Morris. How are you doing today, Jim?
I'm doing great, man. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
So we got to start off by saying spring training has started. Do you remember your first spring training?
I do. It was a long time ago.
What was that like?
The first minor league spring training was back in 1983, and I walked out to spring training and I thought, man, everybody's here in the organization, and I found out that was just the pitchers, and I was like, uh-oh. And like 100 pitchers there in camp, and I was like, man, you know, I played football my whole life, and come out here and everybody's pitching, they're doing well, and I'm like, oh, I suck. That's bad. And, you know, the first minor league game I get in spring training, I give up a home run the first ball I throw. Second ball I throw, the guy hurts his back going over the to get it, and I thought, oh, no. And it was just rough. And, you know, spring ahead to on 35, and I go to my first spring training, and I just had fun. You know, the first guy I threw to was Hamilton with the Angels now, and man, that guy can hit. He was 18 then. He was his first spring training. First ball I throw goes up the center field wall, and that's when I thought, okay, I'm going to throw a curve to this guy. So we went with that, and he didn't hit anything else.
Wow. I didn't know that. So what was it like being in the locker room with Josh Hamilton at such a young age? He was considered one of the best players in the country at that time.
You know, I was amazed because I sat next to him on a bus on the way to play the Tigers one day, and I just remember looking at his feet going, oh, my God, he's got like size 17 feet. And his feet were huge, and I thought, this guy's not even done growing yet. And, you know, he could just hit. I mean, just pure hit. And then, you know, 6 months down the road, I check on him, and he's fallen off the wagon and all kinds of bad stuff. I'm just glad he made it back, man, because he is a talent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So do you still follow Major League Baseball? Do you watch the games?
Absolutely. Right now, I have fun watching Mason Bumgarner throw because that guy can throw the ball.
Oh, yeah. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he goes out and he just goes, hit it if you can. If you hit it, I'm going to hit you. I like that attitude.
Do you have any favorites to win the World Series?
Right now, too early. Got to see how many pitchers stay healthy. But I don't see what would stop the Giants from going again, man. They're just powerful. But Kansas City's young, and they got a lot of good arms. I had to see them a couple of years ago, and just about everybody in their bullpen throws 95, and I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah, they're unbelievable talent. They're going to be a team that's going to stick around for a very long time, I have a feeling.
Yeah, if they can hit a little bit, man, they're going to be in a lot of games.
All right now, my name is Pants, and I'm here joined with Brett. And right now, we're on the line with Jim Morris. He had the story of his comeback into the Major League Baseball that was produced by Disney, called The Rookie. Jim Morris, how did Disney contact you about this movie of the inspirational story of yours?
When I was in AAA in Durham, an old roommate from minor league ball called me, and this guy had quit playing baseball to model because he was pretty. And he could make more money modeling than he could in baseball. And he worked out with a guy from Disney. He goes, hey, I'm working out with this guy from Disney, and we want to make a movie about you. And I laughed at him, and I hung up. And he kept calling back. He goes, no, really, we want to make a movie. I'm like, Mark, that's not going to happen. You know, I'm just a teacher. I'm from West Texas. This is a story that's just good for my high school kids because I did what they want me to do. And I get called up to the big leagues, and my second day we go out to Anaheim, and Bill Plaschke, the writer for the LA Times, writes this article about me. He covers the whole sports page. And he had interviewed all my players and everything. And that night, my second night in the big leagues, they had to change my name in the hotel because everybody kept calling. And I was just like, wow, this is unbelievable. 750 phone calls that night.
Wow, they wouldn't take a no.
It was unbelievable, man. People wanted to do stories. People wanted to write about me. People wanted to do movies. I mean, everything. And so for the 4 days I was there, my agent took me around to all the studios, and he asked me when we were walking across the grounds of Disney, he goes, man, what do you want out of a movie? I said, I want it to be about my kids. I want it to be about second chances and dreams, and that's what I want. And, you know, I talked to him about that. And we get up in the office, and the guy from Disney sits us down. He goes, my picture is a movie about your kids and a movie about second chances and dreams, and you're never too old. I'm like, oh, my God, they have microphones everywhere. I mean, he said exactly what I did, and I was like, okay. So before we walked out of Disney, I was like, this is where we're going to do the movie.
Now, was baseball the sport of your choice growing up? Was it something that you always wanted to play as depicted in the movie?
I played every sport, but yeah, baseball was it for me from the age of 5. And, you know, we lived in Oakland when I was 5, and Vida Blue was with Oakland, and I was like, man, I want to pitch like Vida Blue. And you guys probably don't even remember who that is. But at that age, I wanted to be like that. And then we moved to Connecticut, and then Louis Tiant was pitching for the Red Sox. I was like, I want to pitch like Louis Tiant. And it was just fun because baseball, we'd play in the snow, man. We didn't care. And I played every sport, but baseball just seemed to come around. We'd get tired playing football, and then we'd play baseball in the snow. We didn't care.
Then you would move to Texas, and that's as many people would say, it's a culture shock there because of all the football, and football is basically the only thing people focus on there. For you as a child, what was that experience like, knowing you want to play baseball in a football-oriented town?
Oh, man, that was rough because we moved from Miami where baseball was king to Brownwood, Texas, where football was king, mainly because of our football coach. And my parents told me, we're going back so you can play football. And I thought, that's cool as long as I have baseball. But we get there, and the football coach hates baseball, so we have no high school baseball team. And so it's all football. And I was just like, this sucks so bad. But I learned a lot from that coach. You know, I learned about teamwork and discipline. And I learned it doesn't matter how big, fast, or strong you are. If you have a better plan and more heart than the other people, you're going to come out ahead. And so I learned a lot from him. I played summer league baseball there, not high school. And that's why I fell behind, because I was playing 2 games this summer. And everybody else in spring training is playing 50, 60, 70 games a year. And I'm like, no wonder I'm behind.
So how did you go about getting noticed and getting recognized by scouts? You were drafted by the Brewers your first time around and would sign in the first round. How did you go around and get noticed?
During summer league, I guess one of my grandfather's friends was a scout for the Royals. And he had called the scouting bureau, and so Major League Baseball sent a scout down just from the scouting bureau and wrote a bunch of times and stuff down about me and wrote about my pitching. And so the Brewers drafted me in January of 1983, and I was like shocked. And shocked my football coach too, because he wanted me to play football.
So going through that, what was that like, moving from Texas, going to spring training, minor league spring training, joining a team, leaving your family for the first time?
I was ready to get away from the family. My dad and I didn't get along very well, so I was ready to go. And my first spring training, I went to, it's a pre-spring training deal, and they wanted me to go out there to L.A. And so I went out there, and it was a time when L.A. like flooded. And it rained the whole time we were there for 5 weeks. And my roommate at that time was Tom Candiotti, a knuckleball pitcher. And he and I we played poker in the dark. And there were a lot of nights our room didn't even have electricity. And so it was fun but brutal at the same time. That was the first time I remember walking down a sidewalk, and this dude's got a boa constrictor around his neck. And I thought, I'm not in Texas anymore. And then we walked up behind this other man, and I guess we scared him. He dropped his groceries all over the sidewalk, and I felt bad. And we helped pick him up, and I thought, geez, everybody's jumpy around here.
Did the rain and the power being out and the grumpy people sort of help you become more mentally fit for like your baseball career?
I don't think I really became mentally fit until I started teaching and coaching. I think between the kids in my classroom teaching me stuff every day and then the parents griping at me because their kids weren't playing, I think that made me tough. And, I even had an athletic director who told me, he goes, "You're always going to come in second place to people like me because you're too nice, and nice doesn't win in this world. You need to be able to step on people like I do." And I just remember thinking, and put you in charge of everybody, that's so cool. And, the problem with that was that two of my kids heard it. And so before I get to the baseball field, split through my team like wildfire, that they thought this coach who was in charge of not only all the coaches but all the players thought they were losers. And I thought, oh, that's great. They were right back where they were 2 years before when I took the job. And so the first two games of 1999 were 15-1, 15-0. And we didn't have 15. And I had a lot of work to do.
Wow. So what made you go into teaching after your minor league career? And was there something that drew you to students and teaching?
I think at that time, at 24, I thought, you know what? If I can't play the game I love, maybe I can teach it. And I couldn't stay healthy the first time around. My arm kept getting hurt. And mainly because I didn't want to listen to the doctors. They'd take a year off, and I'd take 12 weeks off, and I'd start throwing again. I just thought if I got a group of kids and I taught them the opposite of what I did, they'd be pretty good. And most of them were. We won at every school I was at, and then we got to Big Lake. And I inherited a team that had won one game each year for the 3 years before I got there, and we had 8 kids show up for baseball season. And I thought, uh-oh, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Wow. So that sounds like a tough time. How did you get students involved and get kids to play the game?
Yeah, did you see talent in them?
I did, and the big thing I saw was that these kids needed to learn about respect. And so my grandfather always taught me, if you can't respect yourself, you can't respect anybody else. So I taught them about respect, and I taught them about the importance of education, because by then I'd learned it. You understand much better as you get older. If that's your money you're spending going to college, you need to use it wisely. And I wanted these kids to have an education more than I wanted to play baseball, but baseball was just my vessel to do that. And so by my second season, I had 53 kids off of my baseball team. And we never looked back, man. We went after it. These kids won, and I had to go try out. And they loved putting their coach on the spot. So it was all fun.
Did any of the players that you instilled the knowledge on go on to play college ball, or go on to maybe go into a minor league career or anything?
Nope, nobody played baseball after high school, but every one of them got a college degree. And that's what I was shooting for, so I'm happy with that.
So could you just take us into the basic premise of The Rookie was the whole idea of the bet, and if the team started winning, you would try out. How much of that story was true?
All of it. After the head coach talked to me and two of my kids heard it, and we lost those 2 games so miserably, I stood at home plate and I just said a prayer. What can I do to help these kids? How can I push them? How can I get them to know how good they are? And the answer I got was go down there and teach them all the lessons your grandfather taught you. And that's what I did. And by the time I get done talking to these kids, they're looking at me and they're going, well, what about your dreams, Coach? And I said, my dream is to watch you guys graduate from high school, go out there, see what's there, and then you make up your own mind. They go, we think you still want to play baseball. And I said, no, I want to stay married. Thank you very much. And, by this time, I've had 9 surgeries. I weigh 260 pounds. I look like a baseball scout, not a baseball player. I said, man, when I had a surgery at 27, they said, you will never, ever pitch again. I said, I can't do that. And they said, what if we win a district championship, which the school never won in baseball? We win a district championship, you try it again. Well, they ended up winning. And so I've got to find a tryout. And what was funny about that was that when we made the bet, the kids couldn't even foul the ball off of me. And by the end of the season, I can't get high school kids out. And I thought, I can't even get 17-year-olds out, and I've got to go try out. That's ridiculous. and I go, and the first pitch I throw, the scout's shaking the radar gun. I thought, oh, my God, I don't even throw hard enough to register. and then I get done, and he goes, you're throwing 98. And I thought, wow, that's cool. I've never thrown 98 in my life. I threw 88. And, that's the first thing that went through my mind. Second thing that went through my mind is, you've been throwing 98 high school kids. You're getting sued. That's awesome. and so at that point immediately, he goes, don't be surprised if you get a phone call. Well, I got home. It wasn't one phone call. It was 12. I was really excited. And they had me come back 2 days later and throw again. And rained so bad they had to hand me a new baseball every pitch. And every pitch was 97. And so they signed me to a contract, and they sent me to rehab camp to get rid of my coaching diet.
So why, in your opinion, do you think you were able to go from throwing 88 out of high school, out of college, and start throwing 98 now?
There's a lot of different theories on that. Even after I retired, Dr. Job took me out to L.A. and hooked me up to all those magnetic gizmos and x-rayed me while I was throwing. You know, I was throwing 96, 97 every pitch. And he goes, we honestly have no idea why you can throw that hard. You have nothing in your arm. And he goes, if you figure it out, let me know so I can get rich. And I said, you're already rich, man. And they couldn't explain it. So, you know, whether it was the years of throwing batting practice and trying to be as smooth as I could so I could take the pressure off my arm, because I don't like pitching machines. I think those are ridiculous. Nobody throws like that. And so I wanted to throw every day, and I made myself as smooth as possible. I lifted with my kids. I stretched all the time. Or you can say, God is ready for you to do it this time. And here it goes. Your second time around is the time for you. The first time was your time, and you thought it was all about you. It didn't work. The second time was about everybody but me. It did work.
So, going off that, you started your major league career at 35 years old. Did you feel like a kid in a candy store playing on a big league field?
Absolutely, man. And, you know, the first time we went to Boston, I remember being 10 years old and watching the game at Fenway going, I wish I could pitch here. And at 35, you get the opportunity to run out on the field and pitch. And at that point, you're like, holy crap, the fence is close. And, you know, at that point, I didn't sign the Green Monster. And so a few months ago, my wife goes, hey, I called the people from Fenway, and we're going to go sign the Green Monster. We'll go up there for one of your speeches. I was like, okay. And we go out there, and she walks on the field. She goes, big league players play on this field? It's so little. And I was like, yeah, you got to pitch here, man. Talk about throwing the ball outside.
What was that like for you, taking the mound for the first time, being in front of all those fans, the whole experience? Could you take us through that?
Oh, man, it was awesome. We were in the ballpark in Arlington, my favorite ballpark, and everybody I knew and loved was at that game. My kids were there for the first time in 3 months. My high school kids were there for the first time in 3 months. Kids I'd coached against. Johnny Oates, the manager for the Rangers at the time, let them all in the game. People who went to college with me showed up. People who said they went to high school with me showed up. No idea who they were. But, I mean, just unbelievable amount of people there. And I get in the first game, and I break out Royce Clayton, who was an all-star that year, and I thought, this is cool. You know, I was petrified. I thought, this is a lot bigger than my little high school baseball field. And then you get out there and you throw, and you're like, this isn't any different than that, man. Just go out and pitch. And you get out there, and all the guys, Wade Boggs, Jose Canseco, Fred McGriff, Roberto Hernandez, all these guys are in our clubhouse. You're like, you can do this. And I was like, that's awesome. And so I had fun.
You were 30.
Yeah, it was way better. Way better than a candy store.
Being 35 years old and making your MLB debut and not being successful the first go around with the Brewers, and now playing with Tampa Bay at 35 years old, do you think that there was a fan base behind you because of the age, like unique fan base that took interest in you?
That's funny you should ask. I'm pitching one night against Toronto, and I throw a couple innings. I don't give up any hits, and I'm in the locker room changing, and Bert comes into the locker room, and he goes, hey, man, all the blue blockers want you back outside. Rick came in, he gave up a double off the wall the first pitch he threw. And blue blockers are the old people. Florida has a couple old people, so, yeah, the old people were my fan base.
Well, Tampa Bay Devil Rays weren't an old organization. They I believe started the team in '98, and you started your career in '99. Did the organization have a new team feel to it? Not
really, because they had a lot of veterans that comprised that team. We should have been very good in 2000, but we had like 3 of our starting pitchers drop out in spring training, man. They got hurt like the first time they threw, like, oh, screwed. And, you know, if you lose starting pitching in the big leagues, you're done. And so that was a rough year.
You mentioned playing around guys like Wade Boggs, who's a Hall of Famer, Fred McGriff, who's many would say is a Hall of Famer in many people's mind. What was it like playing around those guys and seeing what they did on the field, what they took to the field, especially late in their careers?
Wade I liked a lot because, you know, he'd got his 3,000th hit the week before, and I knew he was in the Hall of Fame. Freddie and I would sit next to each other on plane trips, and I love Fred. He's got a great personality. His kids and my kids got along, and he's just a good guy. And I wish people would go, you know what, so what, and vote him in because he was just a good dude. And he was good for baseball because everybody loved him.
Were you ever in awe that you took the step of playing in the MLB so quickly from, I guess, maybe watching Wade Boggs on your couch to playing with him?
Oh, man, I was... They'd heard about the crazy science teacher for 3 months when I got called up. And I walk in right after he got his 3,000th hit, and I look at him, and I'm still a coach and a fan. I'm just sitting there like my jaw's dropping. He's like, that's the best story I ever heard. And I'm like, but you're Wade Boggs, dude. and he just laughed at me, hugged me, walked off. I mean, it was cool. They all treated me very nice. Yeah,
not so many players play when they're 35, but you started your career at 35, so it's remarkable.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun for me because by that time I knew what it took to get there. I knew I was lucky to be there, and I just wanted to have as much fun as I could.
Now, something that you keep mentioning throughout the interview has been your kids. How much of an influence was you reaching your dream to play in the major leagues for them, and do they have any dreams of their own now?
My kids, yeah, they have dreams. I've got my youngest is 16, the one that was 1 in the movie, so she reminds me how old I am every day. But she is incredibly smart. She's probably going to be some kind of engineer because everything has to be in perfect order for her. But I've got 2 girls in college. I've got a boy that just retired from the Navy after being overseas for 2 years, and then I've got another boy that's graduating law school at Drexel. And so it's been fun because they didn't have to play baseball like I did. I played baseball and sports to get out of the house and away from my dad. They didn't have to do that. I cheered them whatever they did. And so it's been a lot of fun watching them grow up, and I'm glad I got to be here for most of it.
So going off that, what advice would you give to kids that might want to reach their dreams and play in the major leagues?
I think one of the big things for me is I hate all this playing for money thing, all these tournament teams and stuff. I think a kid, if he wants to play, should play every sport, be well-rounded, and then if that's what they truly love, then you go after baseball or football or soccer or whatever it is you really want to do. You can't just wake up one day and go, I think I'm going to play baseball, and then you get to play. It doesn't happen like that. Percentages are so small. You got to be really good. And, you know, I work with Under Armour every year, and we work with the top 17-year-olds in the world every year. And some of these kids who are there are great, but a lot of them aren't going to make it. And it's such a small percentage. You have to have another plan. I think I'd want everybody to have a degree. I want them to be smart, and then if the sport works out, that's great. And then if it doesn't, they've got something else to fall back on.
Well, Jim, as we're wrapping up the interview here with you, what kind of influence did you have with Disney making the movie? Did you get to choose who would play you, things like that?
Absolutely, man. You would be amazed. The people want to play me. Brad Pitt, Matthew McConaughey, Kevin Costner, and the baseball players told me, if you let Costner do another baseball movie, we're going to kick your ass. So he was out, and we chose Dennis Quaid because he was left-handed. He's from Texas. But more than that, he and I got along, and he came up to me and goes, if you see anything being filmed that you do not agree with, you tell me it's out. And so, yeah, I was on the set the whole time I was with Dennis. We'd film during the day. We'd go in and eat dinner, and then he'd go play on 6th Street in Austin with his band, and I'd go listen to him. It was fun. We had fun.
You mentioned how Dennis Quaid is left-handed. Is that something that the scouts took interest in you more so besides just pitching really fast and challenging batters? Was that you're a lefty who can pitch fast?
Absolutely. That and my ball moved tremendously. So I was a lefty that threw hard, and my ball tailed into lefties, and lefty hitters don't like that.
Well, going more into Dennis Quaid, how was it meeting him? And were you a consultant during the filming process on the with Disney set?
I was there the whole time. Yes, I was a consultant, and there was one point where Dennis yelled cut, and Dennis came over to me, and he goes, "What would you say to the kids right now?" And so I rattle off all this stuff, about 5 minutes worth of stuff, and he didn't write anything down. I thought, he's not going to remember any of that crap. He gets over there, and they go action, and he said it word for word, and I thought, oh, yeah, you're an actor. That's cool. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. The first time I met him, though, was right after he signed his contract. I went to his house in Brentwood, and we played in the front yard, and I'm sitting there like, I call my mom. I said, "Mom, guess where I am?" And I said, "I'm in the front yard playing catch with Dennis." She goes, "You suck." And I thought, yeah. It was fun.
So, Jim, as we're wrapping up here, could you just tell all our listeners out there what you're doing today and what you're involved in now?
I can. I do motivational speaking all over the world, and I have fun doing that. I talk about dreams and second chances, overcoming obstacles, and a lot of lessons my grandfather taught me, character and integrity. And I also work for a group called BCFS, and we work with kids who need a second chance. Either they've grown up in a family that's not good to them, or they're on the edge of getting in trouble. And so we bring them in, and we send them to school. We teach them how to get a job. We teach them how to go to school. And so I'm doing that also. It's a nonprofit organization, so I had a lot of fun doing that. And I'm watching my kids grow up.
All right, Jim, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time. We learned a lot from you, and we loved hearing your story.
Thank you very much, guys. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
You too.
This concludes our podcast of Sports and Rants with Brent and Pants. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Twitter @Sports and Rants. Like us on Facebook. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes. And visit our website, www.sportsandrant.blogspot.com. It would help our rankings on iTunes if you rate and review our podcast. Thanks, and have a good day.